Okay.
And do some horns.
Yeah, we straight chillin', serial killing, pre-cold villains on the mind, got you reeling. 5-star rated from the floor to the ceiling. If you catch a 1-star, no time for feelings. Got a demon DJ on the ones and twos, by the name Elzebub, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast them all over two, and prepare to hear the legend of the straight chillin' crew.
What up, nerds, and welcome to another fairy tale episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name is Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode 491, recorded Monday, August 26th, 2024. Tonight, we're talking about the winner of the August poll, which is Pan's Labyrinth from 2006. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., we got your boy, Randeezy. What's up, man?
Buongiorno.
How's it going, buddy? I'm ready to take in some foreign cinema with you, my guy.
Your Spanish is so good, man.
Oh, you know, I try.
Grazie.
I love it. Keep it coming.
Mhm. Oh, yeah, it's coming.
Last but not least, calling in from Seoul, South Korea, we got your boy, Soju. What's up, man?
Oh, what up? It's your boy with a rebel steins. With me, Hermanos. We're rebelling.
That's
Crushing the Spanish language tonight.
that was
mi
a
hermanos.
that was a real cocktail of thoughts.
Well, I didn't want to do mi hermano stains because that sounds inappropriate.
My brother stains.
Oh,
It sounds like you've got a husband bulge.
So, you know.
multicultural as always, coming at you
Yeah.
from everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Padre. Mi hermano.
See, senor.
Shut the fuck up.
I think Grazie
And
is
perfect.
Italian, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Not Spanish at all.
I
Me
think it's
excuse, Spanish.
Asian.
Whoa.
I think they were
Randy.
speaking Asian. That's a deep pull, and I
That
love it.
fucking movie. I love that movie so much.
That's good. Good
right.
shit.
Mhm.
The movie we're talking about tonight is also a good movie. Pan's Labyrinth. Yeah, the winner of the poll, we had a Guillermo del Toro poll, and this was the winner. We'll be talking about that momentarily. Before we get into it, let's tackle just a little bit of housekeeping real quick here. Our September poll is currently posted on our Patreon website. If you guys support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're talking about this September. The theme for September is movie magic, and the three movies you're voting between are The Final Girls, Popcorn, and Matinee.
Whoa, Bob, in the last week of August, boys. Here we go. This is what we live for right here.
This is
the
what we
moment.
live
The
This is
end of
it.
August.
The
If
end
we
of
were to stop
August.
running polls, we would all pass away and turn to dust.
Whoa. How are those numbers looking heading into full-on spooky season?
We're almost at a neck and neck here. So
Whoa.
Hot damn.
The Final Girls is still in first place with 42% of the vote.
Mhm.
Popcorn's creeping up with 39% of the vote.
Oh, that's very
Mm.
close.
And then
All right.
Matinee with 18, which it clearly isn't going to win. But yeah, that's like, I don't know, a difference of maybe 2 votes or so. So, I mean, it's very, very close.
Yeah, if those third-party voters weren't fucking around.
Fucking around with Matinee, right?
Fucking RFK ass motherfuckers. God damn
God.
spoiler
The
candidates.
anti-vaxxers
God.
want Matinee to win. That's what I
God
heard.
damn.
Boys, I want to be able to listen to this episode in 5 years. Okay, come on, let's.
You don't like this timely banter?
I don't.
Right.
It's already like 5 years
hate
too
it.
old, I think.
I actually hate it. But yeah, get your votes in before the end of the month, and we'll see what ends up winning, and see what we're talking about this September. Another Patreon news: we're dropping mini casts every other Friday. We got a brand new one dropping Friday the 30th. Humane, which is a Shudder original. It's on there right now. I'll be talking about that one. Another Cronenberg, one of Cronenberg's Spawn,
I think
made
it's
this movie.
pronounced Hugh Mang.
I think it's pronounced Cronenberg.
Berge.
Bear go.
Cronenbergus.
Bear go, I think, is how he likes
You're right.
it.
You're right.
Cronenbergo.
We know all the cultures.
Oh,
We got 'em.
yeah.
Jesus Christ. Why would anybody listen past this point? All right.
Check out my thoughts on Humane, dropping this Friday over on Patreon. And that's really all we got for Patreon. I am going to be doing a Joe Bob watch party this Friday as well, August 30th at 9 p.m. Eastern. He's doing his like all-nighter 6-movie marathon. I'll be hanging out.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm not
You'll be
doing
hanging out
that.
for an hour, hour and a half.
Right.
I'll make it through
Yeah.
half of those. Through
Yeah.
half of
I
one
might
of
see
those
2
films.
Joe Bob segments, and then it's snappy time for Bobo.
Damn.
One. I'm gonna watch the first movie. Let's be real, and I'll pass out at midnight. So if you want to join for that, I'll post a link so you can join on the Zoom watch party this Friday just before showtime, 9 p.m. Eastern. Hang out with us, watch some Joe Bob, and chat with the straight chillin' folks. Should be a good time. Closing out season 6, which is crazy.
That is fucking nuts.
Yeah, man. That's all I got though for housekeeping. Do you guys have anything you want to plug?
Whoa, I actually have a feature I need to plug, which is crazy considering the year I've been having. But I am featured on the next episode of Plug It Up with our friend Caitlin.
Ooh.
And we are talking about Queen of the Damned.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
A classic.
Still
We're
never seen
consider
that one.
the past few episodes I've been on there, we've definitely been going through our vampire rounds, and so there was a couple of movies we were bouncing back and forth, and I ultimately kind of wanted to cover Queen of the Damned. So yeah, that was so yeah, give that a listen over Plug It Up podcast, and I believe that's all my housekeeping.
Yeah, I
Cool.
don't have anything else. Bob, are you clean?
Squeaky.
All right.
This house is clean.
All right, let's get into the main event. We're talking Pan's Labyrinth, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Bob, you got this box?
I do have this box. Yeah, Criterion put this out on Blu-ray a few years
Ooh.
ago.
Ooh,
And,
that looks clean.
You want to know something special?
Yeah.
I have that box.
Ooh,
Oh, that same
One of the
exact
few that I
box,
got.
Randy.
That same box. It's
All right.
my box Rob's
Flex.
holding right now.
You're flexing on me
I
right
This
now.
this is a soju approved box right here. This is an okay by me. This can go in your
Yeah, they have a
collection.
little sticker on the front that says
Yeah,
soju,
approved.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Few and far between are those.
Yes,
Mhm.
very few and far between. This is one of them.
But yeah, that's easy to find if you want to pick it up. It's usually, maybe $20. You can find it like anywhere. You can also rent this anywhere. It's super easy to find if you haven't seen it. Check it out. This is from 2006, rated R, with a runtime of 1 hour and 58 minutes. This was written and directed by Guillermo del Toro. Stars Ivana Baquero, Ariadna Gil, Sergey Lopez, some other lovely folks. The plot synopsis brought to you by IMDb is as follows. In the Falanges Spain of 1944, the bookish young stepdaughter of a sadistic army officer escapes into an eerie but captivating fantasy world. Gentlemen, have we seen this movie before, and would you recommend folks check it out? Randy, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah. Actually, I know that we all have seen this film. Because we all took the same literature class in our introductory year of college,
Where we
which was,
watched movies.
where we watched this movie and read
City
a bunch of books
God
centering around
too, right?
City of God. Yeah,
Yeah.
We watched.
What a
It
kick-ass
was centered around
class.
Lost Children.
It
That
was,
class
yeah.
ruled. I still
Yeah.
love that class. We read we watched those. We read The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime and Kite
Yeah.
Runner and
Yeah,
Peter
yeah.
Pan. Like, it was a fucking great class, honestly.
All good shit, yeah.
So yeah, we have definitely all seen this, and I think more than once, certainly, for most of us. And yeah, definite recommend. This is a movie that is rich visually, rich thematically, rich in talent in general. It's there's a reason that we chose Guillermo del Toro as a highlight for this poll. And it's because he's incredible, and this is absolutely one of the most. It's agreed upon as one of the most successful films he's made. I think, generally speaking, or one of the more liked films of his. Um, it was definitely his big crossover in America. I couldn't recommend it more, really. Like I think it's very much worth your time.
Cool. Juice, what about you?
Yeah, I've seen this several times, and I would highly recommend it. Is probably my favorite Del Toro film, even though he's got a lot of them, and it's we've covered a decent amount. We've done Shape of Water, Blade Deuce, Nightmare Alley, Chronos too.
Chronos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, I was happy to do this poll. I was happy that Pan's Labyrinth won, and if you've never seen this before, I would absolutely recommend that you check it out. Bob, how about you? Would you recommend people check this out?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. If you haven't seen this, definitely treat yourself. In true Del Toro fashion, it's a dark fairy tale, and he has he takes extra special care with every single little detail of the movie. And yeah, watch it. Treat yourself. That sounds like a hearty recommendation across the board here at Straight Chilling, and we are going to be spoiling Pan's Labyrinth. And here comes your warning.
Spoiler warning.
Whoa, Bob, you gonna read this plot synopsis in Spanish?
You wish,
I do wish.
but
Right.
no. We'll be here
Crotch.
all night. All night. Yeah, I got the synopsis typed up, and it also in like true Del Toro fashion. This is set with like the backdrop of a war that really happened. So I've got like a little bit of information about that in the synopsis, but not much. So here we go. In a fairy tale, we see Princess Moana, whose father is king of the underworld. She ends up visiting Earth, and the sun blinds her and erases her memory of who she is. She becomes mortal and eventually dies on Earth. The king believes her spirit will eventually return to the underworld, and he builds labyrinths all over the world, which act as portals so she can one day return. And then we see our main characters here in 1944, Francoist Spain, which is the period of Spanish history between 1936 and 1975, where Francisco Franco ruled Spain after the Spanish Civil War had concluded. We see our main character, 10-year-old Ophelia, and her pregnant mother, Carmen. They go to meet Captain Vidal, who is Ophelia's new stepfather. He is a civil guard and a fascist, and he's been assigned to hunt down the Spanish Maquis, who are guerrillas who fought against the Spanish dictatorship after the Spanish Civil War. We see a large insect Ophelia believes to be a fairy appear in a room and leads her over to an ancient stone labyrinth. Vidal's housekeeper, Mercedes, who is secretly supporting her brother and other members of the Maquis, stop her. The creature returns that night, and they do travel into the labyrinth, where Ophelia meets a fawn creature who gives her a book, who believes she's the reincarnated princess of Moana. He says she will find 3 tasks in the book she must complete before being granted immortality and allowed to return to the underworld. The first task is retrieving a key from a toad's belly, which she does complete. Her mother's worsening illness worries her, and the fawn gives her a mandrake root to put under her bed. She's also supposed to regularly give it blood, which eases her mother's illness. Ophelia then completes the second task, which is retrieving a dagger from the lair of the Pale Man. Despite the fawn's warnings, Ophelia eats 2 grapes while in the lair, which awakens the creature. He tries to eat her, but she escapes. The fawn is annoyed at her disobedience and refuses to tell her the
And you
third
can't
task.
piss on hospitality. I won't allow it.
Perfect bump placement. Ophelia then becomes aware of her stepfather's hunting, torturing, and killing of the Maquis. He finds out the doctor he has on staff euthanized one of the members, and he ends up killing the doctor. Vidal finds the mandrake root and throws it into a fire. Ophelia's mother immediately feels painful contractions and ends up dying while giving birth to Vidal's son. Mercedes tries to escape with Ophelia, but they are discovered. Ophelia is interrogated. Mercedes frees herself and stabs Vidal and escapes. The fawn returns and tells Ophelia to take her brother into the labyrinth to be given the third and final task. She does, and Vidal follows after her while the Maquis attack his outpost. The fawn says she must draw blood from her brother as you need the blood of an innocent to open the portable. She refuses the fawn's wishes,
Open the
and he ends
portable?
up
The portable. The
You gotta
portable
open up
portal.
that portable.
It's a portable portal.
Teach. We need the portable opened.
The fawn bails after that. Vidal witnesses the conversation, but he can't see the fawn. Here we go. He takes the baby from Ophelia and then shoots her. As he exits the labyrinth, he's surrounded by the Maquis. He hands the baby over to Mercedes, and he asks that his son knows the time of his death. She says he's never going to know anything about his father. He is then shot and killed. Mercedes walks into the labyrinth and finds Ophelia. We get a flash of her standing in front of her parents, who are king and queen of the underworld. They say her choosing to sacrifice her own blood allowed her to pass the final test, and they invite her to sit on the throne with them to an uproarious applause. Now, we then flash back to the labyrinth, and we see Ophelia has died. Roll credits.
Yay! Feel good film of the
Yeah.
year.
Ooh.
I forgot
Yeah.
how brutal this movie is.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's a hard R. Like,
You know,
damn.
it definitely, and it's like it's this thing where it follows all the most bombastic and memorable parts of it. Not all of, but the majority of them are so fantastical and whimsical, and they're all in the fantasy world side of things because that's so unique and so like stylized to Guillermo del Toro's like personal style that you kind of just it's easy to forget just how much fucked up like visceral gore is in this movie.
One of the things that always stands out in my memory from the very first time we watched it is that bottle kill scene where he just beats
Oof.
that dude in the face with the
The
bottle.
hunters, yeah.
That
Yeah, the
shit's
very beginning.
rough.
And it turns out they really were just hunting rabbits.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and he's
And this
not
is a
repentant at all.
this is a
No.
great villain. I mean, he's
yeah.
as far as like forgettable villains or like villains that kind of slip off the dome, I think he fits in that category. But in the context of the film or whatever, like he's a fantastic villain and it's like quite believable. And I think his brutality really represents the idea of like the soldiers that you fear during war, like the commanders. He's just so unfeeling, but he's like so insecure with something to prove that
Mhm.
like even though we don't get a lot from him, like I feel like he's so deeply fleshed out that like all of his decisions and motivations like make sense and are so fearful, especially from a child's perspective. But yeah, I think they have a really great villain in this film.
I agree,
yeah.
man.
He's like sorry, go ahead, Bob.
I love how the first thing we hear him say when Ophelia and her mom arrives is, "You're 15 minutes late." That's like how
Yeah.
he greets them. He's like
Yeah.
obsessed with time, and we kind of come to find out why. He's got his father's watch on. And then like the doctor asks how he's so sure that his unborn child is a boy.
It's a
And his
great
response
line.
is like, "Don't fuck with me." Like
Yeah.
Such a
he
good
couldn't
line.
possibly produce a girl. Like it's God, he's so good. It's just he's such a hateable character, man.
Well, that's the thing is like I don't see him as a character that is easily forgotten for me. Like like he stands out to me more than any other character besides Ophelia herself, and of course the fawn and things like that, like the fantastical creatures. But in the real world, he stands out like he is. I mean, those are the central figures ultimately, and it's just like, but like man, he is just so fucking unrepentantly evil. But also, you give him just enough pathos, like right, the thing about his father and the watch and all that stuff. I didn't remember that part, and that's so fucking interesting to me. That like like you said, Bob or Justin, whoever said it, like he's obsessed with time. He fixes his dad's watch, which he intentionally broke in the moment of his death to mark the time of death for his son, and his son like is so regimented, and so he's like, I'm going to continue. It's all about continuing on into the future, continuing the family name and the legacy. And when they tell him no one's ever going to know this kid's name, know your name, and he just like looks so defeated and then gets shot in the goddamn face and his eye starts drifting up. It's one of the most cathartic moments of villain death of all time, in my opinion. It's shit fucking rules.
Yeah. I
Ugh.
guess I said when he's forgettable, it's just when I think about this movie, even if I think about the bottle kill scene, I'm not picturing necessarily that guy's face or you know, those things, but I also it's amazing too because that that idea, even as like maybe dark as it is like so poetic. And I love even the moment when they're telling the story, and even though he lives his life by that, like that should be his, but he's so regimented and so like insecure that he doesn't want anybody to see him in any state of like vulnerability, that he just completely shuts it down of like, that's bullshit, that's like complete nonsense, and like
It's
you
like
shouldn't even tell that story because people are bored with you talking. It's just, it's so, man, he's
what an
so
ass.
That wasn't even the
fucking
same
intense.
story. That was
It
the story of
wasn't?
how
Oh, yeah, how
him
they
and the wife
met.
How
met
they
right.
too.
met.
So
That's
it's
right.
like, but
yeah.
it's the same thing, right?
Yeah,
Like
he
it's the
does. Well, he
exact
does
same
it twice
impulse.
because he's like, somebody said I was associated with your father. And he tells this story, and he's like, that's complete bullshit.
He never had
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
watch.
never
Yeah, that
happened.
Well, dude, yeah,
Yeah.
like he can't show any. Like this is like this movie has a lot to say about like the. I'm sorry to dust this old term off, but it's got the
Whoa.
toxic masculinity
Oh, Randy.
Whoa.
theme
So
going in
retro.
hard throughout the. Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
classic,
This
right?
is from your childhood, Justin.
That was
No,
a
like,
hot
but, like,
topic
it's
during
so.
my youth.
Yeah, I remember them talking about that while I was playing Tinker Toys. No, it is true though. Like it's like it's all about progeny. He does not care if his wife dies. She's only a vessel for a son. He cannot have anything but a son in his mind. All of these things, they amount to like the most fragile ego of all time being bolstered by like just infinitely thick fortress walls around his core impulses. And that's like it makes him into an evil fuck who is so disassociated from himself and everything else that he can just do evil shit without even blinking.
And
I
it's
don't know.
totally believable because sometimes villains are, you know, like over the top evil, or
Yeah.
just, you know, but I mean, everything that he does completely makes sense. Nothing, it seems like, out of the realm of possibility. And by the end of it, I really did have this kind of like realization moment of, or not realization, just when the rebels come in and they're only like, we only have 20 guys left, and they just kill this guy and this outpost is done. I'm like, damn, isn't that just fucking war, man? I mean, this thing that stood as this outpost and this oppression and presence for this town where people are murdered or living in constant fear or tortured or just can't even go hunting, or like all of these things that affects this community, that affects us around. And in one night, it's just erased, and that's it. It's gone. Anything that dude did, it doesn't fucking matter. His legacy, he doesn't have one. It's burned down to the ground. It's just a shack. It's just an empty shack. And and all of that fucking hate and just terrible things and disruption of people's lives is nothing now. It's just nothing. And it's like, God damn, just stop being fucking dicks.
That's not allowed.
That's the
No, like, it
tagline of
is-
this
Yeah,
movie.
just
God
stop.
damn, just stop being fucking dicks.
So, Jew.
We're just normal, man.
Pan's Labyrinth.
But yeah, like
Yeah.
I agree. Like like the war is very central to this, and like unremovable from it. And so because of that, I looked into like just like a complete top level view of what what all went on, Franco's Spain, all that stuff. Which because I'm like completely American ignorant on that stuff. I don't know if you guys knew anything about this going on. I didn't.
No, and I think that's a
and
good
it's
twist for this movie too, because I feel like a lot of the you know, war movies that we see are featured either in France or Germany. I mean, that's just a like what we get.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have the sometimes like the Pacific and stuff, you know, every now and then we'll get some pictures of like
Well,
Japan
American
or something.
conflicts
Yeah,
is
yeah,
what we
yeah,
almost
exactly.
always get.
But yeah, like having it set in Spain is nice, honestly. To the even the like the different style uniforms. I mean, we brought this up during I think the most recent one was Godzilla -1, but we've covered a few movies that take place like around this time, and like the aesthetic's always beautiful. But it is nice to have like some alternatives. That kind of like blue that they got is, I don't know. It's just, yeah, it's cool to be in a new setting.
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry,
I
go
mean, it
ahead.
seems sorry, yeah, seems almost allegorical to like the whole movie seems allegorical to like that whole period basically because like insurgency was all over the place. Like they fought, they had a civil war that got sparked, which led to Franco's rise to power, and he was a fascistic conservative dude. Who also pulled the country out of economic depression while simultaneously setting up concentration camps and backing Axis powers, though subtly, for their assistance in the Civil War and all this stuff. So he was like, this is true, like truly about like the impact of fascism and the inhumanity of it, of authoritarianism and all that stuff. And it does it so well through like just like really this one evil character as well as like the apparatus that he surrounds himself with and why they behave the way they do. It's because of him. It's his fragile ego ekes into them and like makes like gives them cause to be more cruel than they would otherwise. Like the way, I don't remember what he says, but when the nursemaid whatever is captured and just about killed by a circle of dudes on horses, he says something kind of gloating to her, is like about how much he would hurt her or whatever before things turn on him.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know how, like, you, some of that is ingrained in people and some of it is learned. A lot of it is learned, and he's learning that from the
Mhm.
powers that he takes orders from, and he has no option to question anything. That's a huge theme in this, is the ability to question things and whether or not that's a virtue. It's pretty clear this movie says it's a virtue, but not for these soldiers. And it
Mhm.
causes them to die, causes them to kill, and causes nothing but pain and suffering throughout the entire movie.
Mhm.
Mm.
Well, and it's cool
Watching
to go ahead.
watching Mercedes after she is captured and tied up, and they're about to, like, he's about to interrogate her. He's like, he tells everybody else to leave the room because he doesn't need their help. She's just one woman. And then before she fucking stitches him up like the asshole that he really is, she
Mm-hmm.
explains to his face, like, the reason I got away with this for so fucking long right under your nose is because I was invisible, because I'm a woman. And like he
Mm-hmm.
just saw right past her, and then she fucks him up again. It's just like,
You found the
Except
dream power, man.
she did kill him. God, I think that was the
I
most
know,
frustrating thing
yeah,
in this
yeah.
watch this time, is
That's
that she
that
like
is,
walks away from it, and I'm like, no,
Go
that's probably
back,
one of the most,
yeah.
yeah, like
but it's
frustrating things
also
about
like,
this movie, because I feel like she probably would kill him. Like,
Probably,
why
yeah.
would you not kill him?
I think, I mean, honestly, I think it's a
Gonna
it's a
capture
thematic
you
thing.
again.
Like strategically, yes, but I think that like that this movie very clearly designates that side of the coin as being the humanitarians of the bunch, the people who
Sure.
can accept the humanity that exists in
Yeah,
all
that's a good
people.
point.
And so like she accepts that in him even through his evil shit. It's an altruistic thing that is ultimately nearly her undoing, and that's unfortunately the case. That's why it's strategically sound to eliminate your assault, the people that would kill you, and
Mm.
make them a non-entity, in a non-danger to you, a non-threat. But like these two things are at odds. Like you can either play it safe and protect yourself even to the extent of taking away someone's life, or you can like protect yourself as much as you need to, walk away and pray that that mercy gets repaid. Like it's a very dangerous fucking game, and it more often than not, and global politics sense, does not work out in the favor of the non-strategic aspects. So
Yeah. Mm.
I don't know, man. It's just it's like it's a microcosm. This whole movie is a microcosm of the effects of dictatorial
Mm.
entities and war and factionalism, and what it is to take somebody's humanity and strip it away and make them the good soldier and nothing more, at
Mm.
risk of their own demise. So what are they willing to do to protect themselves from being seen as less than that?
Well, and I think it too, watching it this time, um, I think those themes are very well represented within the fantastical world too. And I like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like this, it's God, Del Toro kicks so much ass. This movie is so beautiful, but it's this stack on stack on stack because we're watching a movie that is serving as an allegory while also this girl is experiencing the war through this fantastical world that is these tasks, and these creatures are also representing the aspects of war at this, it's just like stacked on it while we're watching the movie that represents the war. Like it's so well done. And honestly, the what year did this come out? I can't remember exactly, but
Oh, six.
it's
06.
it's there. It still looks really good. There's like a couple of moments where you could say like, oh, maybe, like some of the effects are maybe like a little wonky, but honestly, it doesn't bother me at all. And I think for like some of the effects that we're having, a lot of it is practical stuff, but even the CGI that's used, it's like done in such a way that it holds up really well. This movie looks fantastic. The fawn looks amazing.
Yeah.
The way that he moves, the texture. I even like that she describes how he smells. I thought that that was a fantastic, like he smells like earth. It just,
Did you notice when he moves, it sounds almost like wood creaking?
yeah.
I love that choice. It's
We're just
so
normal
good.
men.
Wooden men. Yeah, Doug Jones plays the fawn
Mhm.
and the pale man in this,
Yeah.
which is like a Del Toro frequent collaborator. And both of those characters, those creatures, I think are like extremely iconic. And when I think of this movie, those are the two things that pop into my mind.
Yeah.
Even though like the pale man is only in that one scene, but the design is
shorter
just
than I
so
thought, yeah.
good.
Dude,
Yeah, he's so creepy.
It's so good. That's the thing is like you talk about the effects like in the CG and stuff. Like a lot of this isn't CG, and that shows.
Yeah.
But what CG they use is used not to enhance the reality of the scene, but to enhance the fantasy of the scene, which is makes all the difference in the world. It's like, the difference between like, when you watch like the Lego movie. That shit looks great. It doesn't look real. It's not supposed to. And so that's where people like devotion to realism is not something is something that we're like hardwired, I think, in America to really zone in on and want things to be as fidelity to real life as possible. And when it doesn't, even in a fantastical setting, it feels like it falls short. But in a movie like this, where like the fantasy is the point, like the fantasy is like is what makes it unique and interesting, and it's so well like designed, and the lighting is such that like even that scene in the throne room at the end, which should look like boo boo by today's standards, it doesn't, because like they play with the lighting. It's supposed to be fantastical. It's supposed to be out of this world and strange, and that veneer of what we would in a movie going for realism would see as uncanny valley, it just doesn't exist. It doesn't get close enough to become uncanny. It doesn't get close enough to reality to become uncanny. It feels disassociated from reality to its benefit. I love that, and like I wish there was more of that in movies now. But even movies that like I think of like I rewatched. I was going to talk about what you've been watching. Smile. I rewatched that recently, and I really like. I know you guys didn't like the end guy or whatever. I really liked it. I liked the way that thing showed up, but it went from something that seemed almost kind of real to something that was completely out there and completely disassociated from reality. I really enjoyed that. I wish there was a little bit more of that happening. We don't need a one-to-one with reality in order to get the point and feel the emotional resonance of a movie.
Yeah. Well, and I like this too because from the fantastical sense, we've talked about this in some kind of cringe kind of ways, or just some of the things that people have tried to do over the past like 20 years or so of maybe taking a child's property and making it dark, making it gritty or whatever. But the aspect of this of everything's been so Disneyfied that like you kind of forget that a lot of the old fairy tales are really like cautionary tales for kids. They're trying to
kind of
teach
dark. Yeah.
teach kids some lessons, and usually like people die or like brutal
Yeah.
things happen.
Yeah.
And having this movie when you have a world filled of things like Alice in Wonderlands where there's an uncanny danger, but not really. Everything's bouncy, everything's silly, everything's over the top. To have of this idea of like children are in danger, but they're still in their realm of fantasy. The fantasy is the realm of the child, but in it, it's not this, Alice in Wonderland Disney type of movie. There's danger, the with the pale man and biting the heads off of these fairies are so fantastical. And they're still not like the Tinkerbells that you have the cute little things that kind of, I love the color and the texture that he plays with, because those are some things that have, the CGI aspect to them, but like them getting their heads beaten off, like fuck, those are her little companions, and like that's fucked up. Yeah, it's nice to have that twist of like taking these things seriously, or they have real consequences, they have real danger, and her mistakes, her selfishness kind of like leads to that, and then her like desperation of her mother dying. It's it's worked so well. It's so good.
Did you guys think while you were watching this movie unfold for the first time that they would actually kill Ophelia at the end?
No, I definitely
Me
didn't.
either.
Not
I didn't
really.
see
I
that
mean,
coming.
for the
I
first
thought
time,
for
yeah,
sure they would kill. I thought for
Vidal?
sure they would kill.
Sure, yeah.
No, Mercedes. I
Oh,
thought
okay,
that
yeah.
she was definitely going down, and she didn't. Weirdly
Yeah,
enough. Like
yeah,
of all
yeah.
the characters, she made it.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember what I thought the first time, but it works so well that she is the one that dies. I mean, she needs that. I mean, she's got that escape in the end, or whatever
Yeah.
for plots
Yeah.
points. But
To your point earlier, though, Juice, like the thing about this is like this isn't a fantasy in the way that, like you said, it's not Disneyfied. Like it is a dark fantasy in the tradition of things like fucking Labyrinth and like Mirror Mask came to mind, and like I don't know, like Return to Oz, which it kind of is that sort of like darkifying of what we recognize as being a squeaky clean American institution of a property.
yeah,
But that itself was kind of dark when written by Frank L. Baum and the people that continued that story on. There's some dark shit in that too, and that's just the way it used to be. We like kids' stories were like fairy tales were not like explicitly like kids' stories necessarily.
they weren't
They were kind of like,
entertainment, or
well, they were like
they were,
parables
but
and things for kids, but they were not necessarily like catered to
safe.
kids. They were not safe, and kids interact with them differently. There was a whole featurette. I don't know if you watched any of the featurettes on Criterion, Bob, but there's a
No, I
featurette where
didn't
he
have
was
time.
Guillermo had a conversation with, oh god, I forgot her name, a children's author, a children's fantasy author, and they were talking. It was so fucking interesting to hear them talk about like, look, it's like kids are both innocent and also capable of great depth of understanding in a way that we forget sometimes as adults. Like we're not entrenched, we're not bringing as much baggage into a story as they are. They are able to freely associate things in a way that we can't. They recognize evil in ways that we can't, and they don't recognize evil in ways that we can't. And I thought that was really fucking interesting, especially because this movie splits the difference. It goes in both, like it shows you both the grim reality and the stark whimsy of it, and it all like blends perfectly. But it's it doesn't clean anything up at all. You know what I mean? It is just as a kid understands it, and as the real world really is, and just seeing those two parallel universes twist and turn through each other is so fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a beautiful movie. It really does. It focuses way more on the horrors of war than I initially recalled, with the doctor like having to sever that dude's leg, and him after that horrific torture sequence with the dude that stutters real bad, and he gives him a chance to live, which he's never going to let him live, but if he can count to 3, he'll let him live. Like that sequence is just like one of the more guttural things I remember seeing, and I don't know, probably since this movie came out. Like it's just so gut-wrenching to watch that shit. And I love that Del Toro always, like, maybe not always, but oftentimes roots his movies, like maybe not Hellboy and shit like that, but like oftentimes ties his movies to something like real world. A lot of times it's war.
Yeah.
Like The Devil's Backbone specifically does that
For
too.
sure.
Uh,
Well, the
I don't
beginning
know.
of Hellboy kind of does, doesn't it? Like they're fucking with the occult so that they can win the
I
war or
can't
something
remember.
like
Yeah, there are
that. And
like
that's
Nazis and shit, actually.
something,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's still even that kind of does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that there's like a connection to the real world because he is such a fantastical guy. And he's like so incredibly creative, but it
Hmm.
gives it this added level of depth and
Mhm.
richness. Like that word, like richness, is like the best way I think to describe this movie and a lot of his stuff. It's just
Yeah.
like the tone, the look, the characters, the metaphors, like it's all just it's
Nothing feels wasted.
layers after layers. Yeah, it's just you can
Really.
just sit in that world and feel so satisfied with the story.
Hmm.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
For
great.
sure. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Give him more Oscars.
Yeah.
Well, all the choices too are really great because as you said, like he does kind of split the difference even with the gore. There's these moments of brutality. But with the leg scene, for instance, he cut right as the first slice goes in, and he again he respects the audience. He lets your imagination wander.
Mm.
And even with the guy stuttering, I mean, we do have moments of brutality. Even when we go back in, he does have a scene where his hand is kind of split. Obviously, he's bleeding out. He's asking to be killed, and
Unalived, please, and thank you.
yeah, but he does, and it's not like pulls his punches, but he splits the difference. He doesn't necessarily like he gives you what you need for your imagination to really understand the brutality of it. He plays with the psyche of it too, like count to three, and
Mhm.
then he ties those things into again where we've already kind of seen these aspects with the fantasy realm too. I love when she goes into the tree and already when she's crawling in, you're having, as an adult, you're having this real world like, fuck, she's so screwed because she's got to go to this dinner party and she's
Mm.
fucking covered in mud. But then she goes down there and she confronts the frog of like, don't you feel bad or like, don't you feel guilty that you're sitting here occupying this tree and not allowing it to live for your own selfish as your own selfish, purposes or whatever. And that's just so good for taking a child's perspective and rooting it in what's really happening in the real world. Again, of this occupation in this small little village town that's just poisoning everything. This whole community has come together to fight against it. They're running through the woods or whatever. And this just selfish piece of shit is just sitting in the middle of it, like sucking it dry, handing out baguettes to people and shit. It's like, like, it works
Yeah.
so well. It works so well
Yeah.
together.
The Pale Man too, with his like infinite dining table with all
Yeah.
the food and
You can't have
yeah,
one piece.
you
You can't
can't
have
have
one. Yeah.
you eat two grapes and you get murdered and
Yeah.
it's
In
yeah,
fairness, those
yeah.
grapes look fucking
They're
great.
like the
Those
biggest
grapes
grapes
are
I've ever seen.
huge.
It's like
I've
the size of
I've
your
only
fist.
seen grapes that big once, and it was in Korea at the
In
Kensington
Justin's
Hotel that we stayed
pants.
at. Yeah. Well,
Whoa.
no, those grapes left something to be desired.
Sour
Doubt it.
grapes. But yeah, that is, and I love when they're handing the baguettes out. He's got like a barker who just is consistently screaming at them, like where the bread is coming from, and that they better be thankful, and nobody will ever go hungry, and Spain ever again. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's so fucked up. It's so fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
It's very fucked up. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like another movie, this just makes me run through the gamut of all these dark fantasies, but one that because of the conversation about the way kids experience things and like how fairy tales are about that, this movie like deals with that so much. It made me think of Houseu, which is
Mm.
for all in many ways semi-written by a child. Like it's the dream logic that can only exist in a child who doesn't necessarily have a strong connection with the way the world works, just the
Mm-hmm.
way that their imagination works. And Ophelia is a little bit more more advanced than like she's a reader, she's a storyteller herself. She's got a good feel for creation and the way things can fit together or whatever, and that shows in the fairy tale that she tells herself. But like with Houseu, it was like a lot more chaotic and a lot more like, you know, morality can be set aside for the most part with that movie because it's just so wackadoo bombastic. I really love that this movie makes me feel childish in the way that I engage with the material, even the more serious shit. It like the way that it invites you to understand things the way that a child understands it, and I think it does a really great job at that.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
how else to put it.
I love how her mother at the beginning says, you know, you're too old to be reading fairy tales still. And then we see her get this empty book and she's like literally writing the story in her head of like what unfolds, and the fairy tale itself is just as bleak as her surroundings. And like, I don't know, that relationship with how she chooses to interact with these like truly horrific things that are happening that would be difficult for anybody of any age to process, and just like how she interprets it in this like very artistic, beautiful way. I feel like that's gotta be like very similar to how Del Toro's brain worked when he was a kid. Like just I know, like I did find there's a boatload of trivia on this movie, and I did find that he has books that he writes before he makes a movie. Like he fills, you know, with like character sketches and notes and, you know, plot beats, just whatever. He's got like Bibles that he makes before he makes a movie. And I wonder if that's just something that he's always done, you know, just like always been part of his creative process. I just love that she like the character interprets her surroundings in this very artistic way.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Well,
relationship with her mother too is like, it feels so real. It's like visceral. I don't know. I really like their relationship.
it is because it is almost, it's like slightly under, but it is this almost like coming of age story. We have a lot of imagery, even like your box has a lot of feminine imagery going on, you know, even that moment in the book where, you know, we get the kind of like head that's essentially, you know, the reproductive system, and her mother is going through the process of delivering the baby premature and the blood everywhere, and she has these two female protectors kind of, you know, in Mercedes and her mother, and what she's learning from them, and then she's like kind of becoming that age, but that's like not necessarily that. I mean, it's really just, I don't know, she's having to face not just the harsh realities of war and like the reality of that, but like viewing her mother and like her claim, well, you know, Mercedes says, you know, having a baby can be complicated sometimes, and she's like, well, then I'm never gonna have one or something, you know, just coming to
Yeah.
these realizations at the age that she is. It's a bit of a coming of age story. It's like not a little, you know, like not quite there, but that's definitely prominent throughout too.
Yeah, she's grappling with some real shit,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
she's dealing with it the only way she can.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she's gonna have like at some points just be like, yeah, well, I'm not gonna have a kid if that's what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, shit like that. It only makes sense. But I
Yeah.
don't know, man. I could praise this movie all day long, but the thing is, it just is so immaculately put together, and Del Toro is just like this, man. Like you said, like the Bibles, that doesn't surprise me at all. Like the what is it, a story Bible or whatever.
Yeah, it's filled with like notes and, you know, characters and sketches and just, you know, all kinds of stuff. And there was apparently the book that he had for this movie that he was putting together. He'd been working on it for a couple years, and he left it in the back of a cab.
Oh,
And whenever he realized that he had done that, he thought the movie would like never happen. But the cab driver somehow found him and got it back to him, and allowed
wow,
him to continue on his creative process. But like, you know, this movie was like meant to be in that way. It could have just been gone.
that's incredible. Yeah, man, when you lose something like that, that's
Yeah,
pretty
that's
fucking
tough.
feeling. I remember
Yeah.
like Beck and I, when we were traveling, we have a national parks cancellation stamp book where every park we go to, every national park site, we get a stamp on the date that we go and all this other stuff. And it's basically like a little documenting like our travels. And we thought we lost it at one point, and I don't remember the circumstances of it, but we were like heartbroken for like 2 weeks about this until we fucking found it just shoved up behind the bed or something. Like that like losing something that's feel like that shit feels so personal, and we didn't like create anything. That's the
Yeah.
difference. Like he
Yeah,
made
yeah.
that.
Having sketches and shit. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
representation of a lot of your time and energy, though,
Yeah,
in
and your
both cases.
mind. I
and
mean, you
passion.
create
Yeah,
Yeah.
something and you
Yeah.
put it down, and it completely reflects who you are as a person in that time. Whereas it, even though you created it, it doesn't necessarily mean you can recreate it or recreate
no,
it in the same kind of way. It is a time stamp of your life and
Mhm.
preserves you. Like your mind created it in that moment with the feelings that you had, with the motivation that you had. It's a once in a lifetime thing, like it's only in that. So yeah, it's like losing a piece of yourself.
no,
Yeah.
for sure.
Damn.
I mean, that's how I feel. I mean, that's
No,
how I
Yeah,
would
no,
feel
I
about
get
it.
it.
Yeah.
I get what you mean. It just
there's
makes it
that
even
old
more devastating thinking of it that
there's
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
there's a quote that I heard recently that's like an old philosophy quote that I'm going to bandy about willy-nilly now, which is a man cannot step into the same river twice because it is not the same river and he is not the same man.
Yeah.
And that's fucking true, man. Like you
Yeah.
lose something like that's what's like beautiful about having something like being able to create something like a movie like or like
Mhm.
this document or whatever. Like that was for him. This is like the outcropping what he wanted to show to the world, and it's like that's why like I over the years I've gotten softer on movies in general, even like
Yeah.
unless it's like seems highly craven or other like for the most part I don't fault people for making what they set out to make. You know what I mean? Because that is it's a reflection of them. Like they put themselves into it, and I don't want to like diminish what people put how the people put themselves out there entirely. So I don't know. That's a whole thing on art in general. Is just like
Well, to
you know
continue on that, like I'm the type of personality, I try not to think about too much because it kind of in the same way Bob was like, oh, that kind of is like devastating when you think about it that way. I think about it that way, and I truly can't quite comprehend. I could never do it. Well, luckily I don't have the talent anyway, so it doesn't matter. But for one thing, so it makes sense to me and it's beautiful to me to make something like a movie that exists and now is like a kind of timestamp on your life that can be preserved and saved and watched over and over again and enjoyed by as many people as possible, yourself included. I can't wrap my mind around, I couldn't do it, of like making a table or a singular painting or something and like selling it, and one person has it and you'll never see it again. I can't accept that. Would be, it's like selling a child in my mind, or it literally like, I just,
that's my
so
boy Ottoman. How dare
My
you?
boy
boy,
Ottoman.
get your feet off my kid.
It is devastating in that way of, selling something off to, I mean, people don't think about it in that way, but yeah, I mean, I kind of do, and that's why I'm like, well, yeah, movies, they live on and can be
Well,
enjoyed by many, and but like paintings, it's like you sell it away, you'll never see it again. That's so
well, the thing is
devastating to
like
me.
I can understand that, but also there's some things that you make for yourself and some things that you make for others. Like I wouldn't make a chair if I made a chair for myself and then sold it. I might be a little like bummed,
Yeah,
but
that's
like
true.
if I made a chair because somebody needed a chair and I just wanted to do good work and like
Yeah,
it's for them, I tailor it to them. That like most of my job as a designer's job is not to self express oneself necessarily, not in most
yeah,
cases, is to communicate something specific that somebody needs communicating. So like that's it's easy for me to sell that because nobody else is getting the utility out of it that the person I'm selling it to would get out of it.
yeah,
It's
true.
most valuable to them in the end than it more valuable to them than it is to me, at least ideally. But like I understand that feeling though, because like think about I have a just stacks of old sketchbooks with just drawings in them, just sketches, my daily
Hmm.
drawings, even beyond that, high school, before that, even like just so many old sketches and things, and they mean nothing to nobody except for me. Like for the most part, that's and that's if I lost one, I would be heartbroken, but it would mean nothing to anybody else. That's like what's great about movies is you kind of do it for both. Like you can do it exclusively for yourself and just put it out into the world, or you can make it for, everybody, and that becomes a like a more of a business thing, and that's what leads to like, sort of foregoing artistry in exchange for accessibility, I guess, or
Yeah.
some other variation of that. I don't know.
Compromising. Yeah.
You compromise a little bit of like what you bring to the table. You're channeling ideas through yourself
Mhm.
to give to other people, and that's a whole different thing that's kind of beautiful in itself.
Well, and to kind
It
of bring
can
it
be
back, but
anyway.
also like I don't necessarily mean to fire, these kind of strays, I guess, but when I was watching this film, I was kind of thinking, because I have this distinct memory of when me and Bob covered Nightmare Alley just a couple years ago. And going over the same kind of thing, talking about like how beautiful it was and how tying it into the time period and like how successful that was, and the colors and the textures and the lighting, and like, oh my god, it's so amazing. And this consistency that Del Toro has, I can't help but respect this man so fucking much, because he's so true and dedicated to the craft. And it's so distinct where you look at the fawn and like just the elements of this film, the colors and the textures. Again, it's just like so Del Toro. And I can't just help and be kind of bummed a little bit about like Tim Burton in the same kind of way, where he becomes a parody of himself, where everything just becomes this product to be sold in fucking Hot Topic or everything. And it's just all his movies are just shallow, like recent movies are just shallow parodies of what he used to be. And I just have so much respect for Del Toro in this way, because like every single one of his movies are just seem to be crafted with so much care and respect, that in that same kind of way, it's like this man's soul feels like it's in this film. When I watch this film, I feel like I'm experiencing a piece of fucking Del Toro's soul, like he's given it to me. And god damn, if I can't respect that so much, it just resonates throughout like almost every single fucking scene in this movie. And not just this movie, but it's just like, god man, what, like, thank you. I can't just help but say like fucking thank you for sharing that with me, because it's amazing.
It's like the idea of an auteur filmmaker versus someone that just like picks up a gig, it's
Yeah.
hired for a job, and someone's got a script, here you go, make it happen. Whereas like Del Toro is like intimately involved with every single aspect of every single movie he does. It's like that's why it feels so singular, because I feel like he's executing this vision of his in like every department is sort of like, I assume, drawing from all, this Bible that he's created. Like they're not really having to guess too much. He's got it all thought out in advance, and it feels like you're truly watching a movie, like you're in the like the best hands possible when you're watching a Del Toro movie. Like this guy has thought about everything. You're not really gonna be able to improve upon fucking anything. Like nobody could do it better. He's got it. Yeah.
Two things about that is, one, let's not put too much pressure on this man. Like,
Well, yeah.
everybody's entitled to a
he
bad
doesn't listen
movie,
to
it.
like every
Sure.
director. And the other thing is, like, he's also operating from a very privileged position to be able to make movies that do come from his soul. Like the
True,
people we're talking
yeah.
about that are making, gigging around, that's not
So
a
does
sin.
Tim
You know what I
Burton,
mean?
though. I mean, I guess,
No,
I guess
no,
my
Tim does,
initial
and that's why it's a little bit
comparison, yeah.
Tim is in comparison, he's gone to the well for obvious, like for what appear to be obvious monetary reasons to me.
And I
Like,
mean no
he's made
slight
money grabs
for any director that doesn't do that. I'm
No,
sure
no,
a lot
no,
of
I know
people,
you
a lot
don't.
more
Sure,
people would
no,
like
no.
to do
I'm just
that,
saying, like,
but
it's a complex thing where like just getting the chance, like I think just about every director who's ever like made it big in any way, for the most part, probably didn't luck into it by accident, by just gigging around. They were trying to get there. They gigged around until they got there. And so, like, I think there's still a virtue in that.
You gotta work. Yeah, I'm not knocking
Yeah,
anybody for
yeah.
working. I was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
the closest comparison that came to my mind is like, this feels like so crafted with
Yeah.
love and respect.
Mhm.
as compared to what Tim Burton has become, where it feels like it's just making cheap
Well, he
products
remade
sometimes.
Dumbo. He did. I'm
Yeah,
looking at this like
yeah.
Big Eyes was maybe his last thing that seemed like. Well, no, I guess Miss Peregrine's, which I don't know much about, but that's an adaptation. I think Big Eyes was maybe the last original thing that I know about from him, which I didn't see, but I'm given to believe was like a little bit better than some of his other stuff, like Dumbo, for
Yeah,
example.
when Burton started doing the like IP stuff with Charlie and the
Mhm.
Chocolate Factory and Alice in Wonderland, I kind of checked out after that. I just
Sure.
Mhm.
wasn't really into it. But I mean, you know, Del Toro has done the same thing, not to the same degree, but he did a Pinocchio movie and the remake of Nightmare Alley. So like he has his Hellboy movies too, but even those, as like popcorny as they can be,
Well,
Yeah.
I think still feel like they have a little more heart to them in some
Yeah, I
way.
mean,
Devil
I
is
just
Due,
rewatched
though. I mean,
Pacific Rim, and that's definitely
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
a very, it's got goofy moments. It's played for the action crap, but it's still, I respect it. So, I talked about it in our, I think,
Yeah.
Alien Resurrection episode. Still respect
Yeah,
like the hell
yeah.
out of it. It's, I
I
don't
love
know.
it. I love Pacific Rim,
I
man. It's
Yeah.
so
I do
good.
want to offer a tepid defense of Tim here, though, because like just in fairness, like he didn't just suddenly start doing IP stuff. His first movie was Pee Wee's Big Adventure, and then it
That's a good
was
point. And
Batman and
Batman,
Batman
yeah.
Yeah,
Returns.
And Mars
Like it's
Attacks was
his
also based on cards. Yeah, it's
yeah,
fair.
right. Sleepy
That's
Hollow,
totally fair.
Planet of
Yeah.
the Apes, like that.
yeah,
Like just going down the list, it's more IP stuff than it's not. Even Ed
yeah,
Wood, which isn't an IP, is kind of an existing story. You
sure.
know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Edward
yeah.
Scissorhands is a completely original. Beetlejuice is completely original. Sleepy Hollow to a certain extent, like
He makes it his own.
it's
Yeah.
his own
Yeah.
version of that for
Yeah.
sure. Big Fish, like Corpse Bride. These are all things that are like his, and they're his best stuff, in my opinion,
Sure, sure.
except for Pee Wee's Big Adventure because I'm a softie towards that movie. But
Oh boy.
Yeah.
yeah, so he is capable
Well,
of doing that stuff. But Guillermo does like if he adapts something, he adapts the creature of Black Lagoon into the shape of water and wins a goddamn Academy Award.
Yeah. Oh, you kind of glitched out a little bit there, Rennie. Sorry.
yeah, but
But we
Did
got
I?
it.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
you gotta
Okay.
have the fish fuck to win the Academy
Oh
Award
yeah,
according
that's
to
how you
John
get it.
Universal
Carpenter.
doesn't want creature dick in their particular film, but Del Toro demands it.
The dick of the Black Lagoon.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess going back to this movie, it's hard because like I really just everything I would talk about, I would heap praise on. I truly, there's nothing that I would
Mm.
be highly critical of. Does anybody have any strong negatives of this film? I don't.
Highly critical? No,
No,
I
I
don't.
don't.
no.
It's just I'm waxing Del Toro's car this whole
Yeah.
show, and that's it.
I really don't have
I
anything where that it bothered me or yeah.
mm-hmm. I
It's
agree.
great.
Like I don't know. Like the only things I could ding it for are things that are like personal preference things. Like I love the style or whatever. I love Del Toro style in general. There are other styles that I just am naturally inclined to like more.
Mm.
But whatever they are, I can't think of any off the top of my head, of course. But
Yeah.
See, I like
but
almost
like
every choice
nothing
about
like
this movie.
structurally.
Yeah, I really like kind of plays to my personal taste. I mean, I
Mhm.
love this time period, the aesthetic of this time period. I think war movies really work well in just like playing off of like a lot of different
We're
themes that you can
wrapping up.
stack. Yeah, I know. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Let's go ahead and do it. Keep going, Juice.
Okay.
Out of 5,
Do
let's
it.
land the plane. How do you
Yeah,
feel?
I mean, it does. This just as far as like the craft goes, it's all there. You can't ding the craft. The story is solid. The acting is amazing. The soundtrack, the way that they incorporate things, and it's just like little touches of saying like he smells like, oh, like we can't smell a movie, but there's just like little hints of people telling us like what the fuck is happening in the realm we can't even experience, which is amazing because then I know what's you're experiencing, but everything is so visually rich anyways that even if somebody didn't tell me that he smells like wood, he looks like he smells like wood. So I mean, it just and the vines and the fucking like the labyrinth, we don't even spend a lot of time there, but it's just so fantastical, but in this grounded and kind of, I hate to say gritty way, but just in this like kind of real way that respects the viewer, it respects the characters. And from a like the Pale Man scene when he's running down that hallway and he's got his hand out, that shit is tense. And even before that, when she's in that room and she's looking up, he's sitting there, but you're able to look up and see the paintings of him devouring babies and this pile of shoes in the corner. It's so good on so many fucking different levels about what the fuck is happening in the real world, what has happened in the real world, in our real world, you know, in this character's real world, in this character's fantasy realm. God damn, if it all isn't so good. It's just, and it's scary and it's designed well and the textures are amazing and the colors are amazing. And it really does like play to my personal taste. I really like everything about this fucking movie. It's so good. Of course it's gonna be a 5-star for me. I really don't have anything critical to say about this movie. I don't. Like, I can't think of anything. It's 5 fucking stars. It's so good. I love Del Toro as a director. I mean, he's probably like one of the best living directors right now. I mean, like, he's so
And he seems like a
consistent.
chill dude.
Yeah.
He seems like
Yeah,
a
he
great
does.
dude. He seems like one of the best fucking people.
Like at the top of the
Yeah.
list of
Probably a
famous
good hang.
people you would love to have a beer with. Like,
Yeah.
I would want to talk to that dude for
I
hours.
could talk to that dude about
I don't think you
monsters,
could work
about
in Edgewise, and that would be
movies, about
fine.
That would be
yeah.
fine. Yeah, it would be.
Dude, Jesus Christ. Like, but yeah, I mean, I have 5-star. Anyways, Bob, out of 5, where are you gonna rate this?
Yeah, I'm on the same page, really. We've just been gushing about this for the past hour or so. It's gorgeous and like the attention to detail is just like it's like almost unmatched. It's difficult to think of another filmmaker that's working on the same level as Del Toro is in as many ways that he is. Like some people have a great eye, they've got a certain aesthetic that they bring to the table, like a Wes Anderson or something like that. But I don't know, man, he's got this way that he builds his characters. He's got this sort of flair for like the fantastical, but it's rooted in this like real world danger that just adds kind of something for everyone. This is like definitely a hard R movie. I don't know that I'd want to show this to a kid, but like it has that whimsy of a child so woven throughout it, and it feels so like earnest. Like Ophelia's character in this feels like a kid. Like it, and that actress, by the way, kills it. She does it's a fantastic child performance in this. But everybody does a good job too. I'm just sort of rambling at how much I love this movie, but I don't know, man. I don't have any complaints. I don't know that I can find a way to improve upon this. So it's a 5-star for me. Yeah, way to go, Del Toro. Randy, what about you?
Way to go. Yeah, well, I'm largely in agreement with you fellas, and I've kind of done a wrap up already. So just like a couple of things that I just really like about this movie. Justin, you mentioned the stack of shoes in the lair. Like, first of all, like there's direct corollaries in the fantasy world with the real world. That room is directly parallel to the dinner room, like whatever, like the in front of the hearth that exists for that they have that big dinner at that she's supposed to go to in her green dress, and the general is sitting at the end in front of a fireplace while everybody's around eating like way more food than anybody else and all this other stuff. But it's all about him, you know what I mean? Everything's centered and focused on him. That's what that room looks like. That's what the Pale Man's room looks like. And in the corner there is the stack of old shoes, which is, for anybody who's been to the Holocaust Museum here in DC, holds a lot of fucking weight for this time period, and specifically on the topic of fascist dictatorships. Like, this is very grim. Like, this is a country that had concentration camps for undesirable members of the citizenry, and beyond. So like this, there's no way that's not intentional. He ties so many like real world signifiers in that just fit perfectly in the fantasy realm too. It's just I don't know how he finds like the perfect visual metaphors for everything that also have such strong power here in reality or in the historical document of things. Like I feel like this is almost this like the Devil's Backbone feels so tied with the history of Spain and with what their citizenry has gone through over so long to an extent that I am not even close to understanding that I don't know, man. It's amazing that you can thread that needle so well that you can tell that sort of like personal and widespread sociological story with this one insular thing. But that's what a fairy tale kind of does, and I think that like that's why these movies are so powerful, is it's just going back to this like absolute rock solid core of what storytelling is, which is revealing truths through non-truths. And this movie is a great fucking example of that. I think I'm going to come in with a 5 too, so, since I literally, as I'm sitting here, cannot come up with a reasonable complaint. So
Yeah.
There
When
we
we
go.
first started wrapping up, I got out my calculator and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna need this.
Yeah.
count.
Yeah, that's a 5-star from Straight Chilling here on Pan's Labyrinth. Let's go ahead and jump into our Rotten Tomatoes segment, see what the critics and users think.
Right. All right, ladies and germs, this is the Rotten Tomatoes segment in which these fellas are going to guess within the best of their abilities what the aggregate positive score is on RottenTomatoes.com for Pan's Labyrinth. There are 244 critical reviews to cull from here. Out of those 244, Bob, what percentage would you say are positive reviews?
I do think this is a critical darling. Folks love Del Toro, and this movie's just, as we've been over, amazing. So how high is it gonna be? I feel like it's so rare to ever see 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, so I don't think that's gonna be the case here. But I'll take like a 96%.
96. All right, Soju. You going over? You going under?
That's
I
honestly
feel like
where I
you're going to
was
stick
gonna
in the same
land.
zone.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be too far off. I could see where it's higher, but I mean, it's riskier, so I'll take the under. So just to make it a little spicy, I'll give it
Ooh.
a 94. So maybe we could tie.
94. All right. Well, I won't need my calculator either here. This is a tie. 95%
No shit.
on the button. Nicely done.
She was gorgeous.
Damn.
That's a skeet and eat right there, boys.
The old skeet neat.
Sometimes the Lord
That's a
offers
pure
a
skeet and
yeet
yeet.
in your hour of need. Yeah, that's about as
Uncut.
close. Yeah, you couldn't get any closer. You couldn't get
Yeah.
a more skeet or more yeet at one time.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So congratulations on that. I'm gonna jump over to the the man. It's the popcorn meter now, but like from a distance, I read the poop meter. Not good.
Attaboy.
Not good.
Oh, man.
Attaboy.
So the poop meter has 250,000 plus ratings counted. We're gonna go in reverse order here. Juice, out of those 250,000 plus ratings, what would you wager is the percentage of positive scores?
God, it's gotta be still high, but maybe a little bit lower. So I'll just say 90.
90. All right, Bob. Over, under, sideways, beyond.
Yeah, it's gonna be high still here, but 90's a good cutoff. I think I'm gonna take the over on this still, and I'll do a 92 because maybe we'll tie twice.
Maybe. Whoa. Straight chilling history.
Guys, this is straight chilling history right now. Dead on 91%.
Oh my god,
Dude.
Perfect
You
movie
guys
for
aren't-
this. Holy shit.
Unbelievable.
I'm going to do something that I have not ever done, which is going to be to say, hell yeet and hell skeet to the both of you. That was
Straight chilling
inspiring.
history right there.
well
There you go.
earned. That's insane, man.
Dude, that is nuts to get it.
your judo well.
so close too, because we were. Oh my god, dude! Straight chilling, perfect.
And
Pants
the fact that
Labyrinth.
you both
Yeah.
called your shots too. I was
Yeah.
like, what the fuck?
Dude, hell yeah.
Well-
And the first, dude, I had my first taste of autumn last night. This feels appropriate for like a first movie going into a spooky season. It's a 5-star. We got 2 hell skeeting yeets. So, I'm feeling
all
good.
coming up
It's
straight
all
chilling.
yes.
Yeah. Nothing is gonna stop us now. We got the wind at our sails, lads.
Straight to the top.
It's gonna be a good spooky season, boys.
It is. All right. We are now going to read the critics' consensus. It reads as follows. Pan's Labyrinth is Alice in Wonderland for grown-ups, with the horrors of both reality and fantasy blended together into an extraordinary, spellbinding fable. Yeah. Can't disagree.
Nailed it. Yeah.
Can't believe we just got 2 ties. That's nuts, dude.
That is nuts.
It's
Two ties that were called and like
Yeah.
1 point off each. That's just
fucking
it's-
insane.
that
Precision.
literally
That's
unless you guys
perfect.
both guessed correctly, there's no closer you can get.
That's
Yeah.
perfect. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
All right. Now we're gonna read some negative reviews if I can find any. Oh, here's one. Okay, here we go. It's less of a labyrinth than a forest path, one that takes you through wonderful scenery but doesn't lead anywhere.
What?
It leads
Yeah.
somewhere.
What are you talking about?
I think it might lead to infanticide myself.
What are you
I don't
talking?
know.
The ending is so perfectly bitter. So, it's that like perfect
Yeah.
balance of tragic
fairy
to
tale.
represent the real world of like reality and the escapist
Yeah.
fantasy. Like, what
Like,
are you
literally-
talking about?
Literally
It's the-
dying and going home.
Yeah,
at the
it's
same
the
time,
perfect
and
point. Like, what are you talking about?
They couldn't overlap any better. Yeah.
The man who is oppressing an entire people is fucking shot and before so told he won't be remembered and everything he ever did will be erased, which is the one
Yeah.
thing he doesn't want.
If
Like,
nothing else, you couldn't find an anti-war movie in this. What the
what?
fuck
Yeah,
are you
what
watching?
are you? Leads
Kind of
to
some loose ends
nowhere?
at the end
Like,
there,
what are you
guys.
talking-
You
where-
know?
would
Nobody
it
explained
go?
where the
Where
I need an
else
origin
would-
story for the fawn.
Where else would it go? Where else could you take this movie?
Well-
I don't know.
Well, they cut the Nick Fury sequence at the end,
Jesus.
so we'll never know.
Like, I just
The
don't
Nick
understand.
Yeah.
Fury sting.
Yeah,
I'm
but
assimilating
what are they
a
gonna
team, Fawn.
Fawn. I love
Fawn.
something I didn't mention too. I always love because the idea of pan now in the Spanish translation, this is not Pan, it's like the labyrinth of the fawn or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's not naming Pan, but Pan is like a trickster, and this creature does not look like warm and cuddly. And at one point he's like holding this blade and shit like that. And I love that, even the aspect that is like more subtle of you can't really trust this thing. He's telling you to do this shit, but you don't know if he has good intentions or not. I don't know. I
Yeah.
like that element of it too.
Here's one more negative review,
Oh god.
just because this is fun. Ophelia's smock is swiped from Alice, her fawn from Narnia, and her magic book from Harry Potter. Del Toro sets her fairy tale apart with its unrelenting gore and misery. Are you legitimately trying to tell me you think this movie is derivative of Harry fucking Potter? Get fucked. Get out of here.
Tell him,
Oh
Randy.
my
Get
god.
outta
The
here. That's
smock?
insane. No
It's
one's
a-
ever seen it.
It's a war
J.K. Rowling clearly
film.
invented magical books. That's never been done before. Never seen that before ever.
And it's a war film. You're like,
It's
I
a
mean, and it's not even that gory. I mean,
it is misery and it is gore.
appropriately gore.
No,
Yeah,
it is because it's
yeah.
not. But like the things that she's complaining that people are that it's like derivative of these other works. Like, yeah, it's a fucking fantasy fairy tale. It's playing directly and pointedly with fairy tales.
Yeah.
Of course, it's going to use that imagery and like. the smock, like
The
I don't
smock in the
fucking
book
know.
though were like the least.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Like what?
Yeah,
It's a magic book that doesn't fucking
dude,
exist. It's in the girl's
did they think-
head. Like,
Do we think that fawns or like
Also, too,
magical
what
fucking creatures didn't
book
exist before?
exist in Harry Potter that like what
It's
fucking
the
book is they talking
the
about?
Horcrux book, whatever the
Yeah,
Tom
there's
Riddle's
a-
diary thing.
Oh,
In the
the
second, it's like,
diary
yeah, I know, I know.
from like the worst book / movie.
Yeah, from
Like,
the
what?
worst one in the series.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
what?
clearly, but it was an original idea. No one had ever seen a
Oh
magical
my
book before.
God.
Klaatuva read a Nick too,
Oh
but
my God.
you know,
damn, Randy, pulled that one off the dome
I
quick.
don't know. Yeah. Anyway, so I just wanted to read that out loud so that we could
Take a
get
shit.
baffled.
Take a shit real quick.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just took a huge shit.
Nice.
Hey, what about trivia, Bob? You said there's a mountain. Is that?
Mhm.
we
Yeah,
ready to
there's
go
a
for
lot
that?
left.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Let's
do
do
it.
I'm having a good day.
Totally time for trivia.
This
Sad
really
movies
just
make
like
for
this
good
is just first
A
day
good-
of autumn,
A good
5
start.
star film, Hell's Need Sweep. Just I mean, we're
Get you a pumpkin cookie and you'll be set for life.
man, I
baby.
gotta go find one.
You're gonna turn into a jack-o'-lantern by the end of the day. A juice-a-lantern.
Damn.
Yeah, so there's some more trivia here. Del Toro apparently wrote the English subtitles himself. I guess this is something that he does now because he just doesn't trust other translators to translate his movies,
I
which,
get that.
yeah, I get that too. Good for him.
Translations
Like
were good.
every
I mean,
aspect
as
of
far
his
as I
fucking
know.
movies, man, he's just like, he's got it under control. He's
If you hear him speak, like in that interview or whatever, just listening to him talk, like he is way more like intelligent in like the words he chooses, and like he is a very smart dude and he can
Yeah.
communicate in English, so it makes
Oh,
perfect
yeah,
sense
yeah.
why he would want to translate this stuff. It's not like, you know, English is a second language where like it's not his strongest. He is more than capable of communicating way better than I can on any subject.
Yeah.
yeah, the man commands
Agreed.
2 languages probably more handily, you know. Del Toro repeatedly refused offers from Hollywood producers in spite of being offered double the budget, provided the film was made in English. He didn't want any compromise in the storyline to suit the quote market needs.
God damn. Love this man.
Yeah,
What's not to like about this man?
I
I
don't
swear.
know.
Like, what is there?
he's doing the thing. I know
I
he
want to
did,
party with you, Guillermo. I want to party
Party.
with you.
Party involves us just chilling in his probably awesome study and talking about movies, which would be the best day of my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, that would be incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I move in, dude? Like, is that okay?
Yeah. Do you need a
Uh,
pool guy? I'll quit everything.
Ooh,
Dude, I know how to
I'll-
take care of
I'll
the
die
pool.
for you.
I'd die for
damn.
I know he started with Devil's Backbone and Chronos, and then I believe after that is when he did Mimic, which was his first American production,
Mm.
and it was meddled with to fuck, and the movie never came close to what he wanted it to be. And there is like a director's cut of it that's like closer to what he wanted to be, but it's still not quite. And then I think after that is when he went back to Mexico and produced Pan's Labyrinth and just like fucking showed everybody that like
Good
you
for
know
him, man.
let him do what he wants to do kind of thing. So yeah,
All of you should shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Dude, speaking of Kronos, I want to rewatch that shit now. I think
too.
I
that should
need to
be on my-
revisit it. I was the
the autumn
harsher on
movie.
it when we covered it, I remember.
I
but
love
should
that
revisit
movie.
it.
That
Yeah.
movie's great.
I love that shit, dude. Del Toro gave up his entire salary, including back-end points, to see this film become realized. To this day, he believes it was totally worth it.
Holy shit.
That's wild,
Can't
man.
can't agree more because this broke through
Yeah,
in
this is like
America
your
in a
best
big fucking way.
film. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
Your boy Doug Jones had to memorize not only his own lines in Spanish, which is a language that he does not speak fluently, but also Ivana Baquero's lines. So he knew when to speak his next line. The servos and the pieces that he would wear, I guess, made so much noise that he just couldn't hear. So he had to like time his lines.
Oh man,
Is
that
it his
sucks.
voice?
I get so you would think that like when they're on set, he would say his lines, but then they probably had to ADR it, right? Because speaking through the
Yeah.
suit, it would be muffled and weird.
Well, I was
Well,
wondering.
no, his mouth is pretty unencumbered, like
Yeah,
comparatively.
maybe it is.
One thing I was just generally curious about, and I went to go look it up before we start recording, and I didn't quite. Okay, so I wasn't sure if we were doing like a Peter Pan type of situation where even I knew like, or I figured that Doug Jones was probably like playing the character, but I didn't know if we were doing a voice situation, like in the way Peter Pan, what is it, Mr. Darling or whatever, also you typically plays Hook or whatever. So I didn't know if maybe it was the voice of someone else, which could give you the sense of like who the fawn is
Who the
actually, his
character.
motivation is or whatever. But I guess maybe it is just Doug Jones, because if it did, the Spanish
Yeah.
sounded very
It's
natural
not.
to me. It's not. Okay.
I just looked it up. It's so according to IMDb, it says Doug Jones doesn't speak Spanish. Is it's not his voice. His voice was dubbed in post production by Pablo Adan.
So
Okay.
who is
but he had to mouth the words. So I'm
who's
sure that's
Yeah.
Pablo? So is Pablo in this movie, or is he just the voice?
I don't know. I'll have
That's
to
where
look.
I was curious if it was like played by somebody else who's in the film, like the doctor, or
Let me see the full cast. That would be interesting. But
I am not
it'd be interesting.
seeing that
no,
name.
I don't see that name either.
He's also the narrator, apparently.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, so no then. Okay. I thought there could be a potential like hidden motivation of the
Yeah,
fawn if
that'd
the
be
voice.
cool. Yeah.
That's what I was popping in my mind. But okay.
Sort
no,
of a
no.
Tilda Swinton sort of situation. where
Yeah.
it's
yeah,
all
Sus-
Tilda.
Suspiria,
Oops, all
yeah.
Tilda.
God.
Oops, all Swinton. The fawn in this movie was apparently inspired by a lucid dream Del Toro had repeatedly when he was a child. At night, he would wake up and a fawn would gradually step out from behind a grandfather clock, which I guess was in his room. He had a grandfather clock in his room as a
Damn,
kid.
that's
This
trippy.
guy, God damn, like, oh man, I don't even know how to
Dreaming
respond to
about
that.
fawns
I
and
don't know how
shit.
this man, like, this guy grew up in the castle from Crimson Peak or some shit. Like,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
like, these are not fantasies for him.
Well, if
that might be the key
I mean
difference.
that might be the key. I mean, if you had a childhood that was, I don't know, I'm gonna use the word plagued. I don't know if he sees it that way. It doesn't seem like it, but it's just filled with like monstrous imagery against your will. I'm dreaming about a fawn stepping
Mhm.
out before a grandfather clock. Then like these films just might be very like cathartic for him, like getting these things out of his
Really
head
are.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Del
what's next,
Toro
Bob?
conceived the pale man as an allusion to the perverted image of stigmata. So he's got those, wounds on his hands where he puts his eyeballs
makes
in,
sense.
which yeah, that does make sense.
That
That's
does make a lot
fucked
of
up.
sense. That's cool though.
Juice, this one's for you. You'll like this. Bjork, your girl Bjork,
Hell yeah.
apparently was so affected by this movie after she watched it, she went home and wrote the song Pneumonia.
Nice. Love some Bjork. And wait, no. She was in, whose movie was she in?
The Northman?
Yeah, The
Was she in
Northman.
The
That's
Northman?
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
she was.
Yeah.
Another
Yeah.
great director. Okay.
Yeah. The film's original Spanish title, like you mentioned, Juice, The Labyrinth of the Fawn is the translation. It was retitled Pan's Labyrinth after the goat human nature god Pan.
Yeah.
That makes
There
sense,
you
except
go.
that they call it the fawn the whole time. Like that's I can't, my only complaint.
Mm.
Name the man.
Well, no, I
Like,
mean, I think and that's why I think it's curious because from mythological standpoint, I mean, I don't know necessarily what fawns represent either, except that Mercedes does say that my mother always told me not to trust fawns or something like that. She does say that. But Pan specifically is like known as a trickster, and that's why it leads to that. But if it's never attached to the idea of Pan, then unless you are just know that fawns also play, or if they have a reputation for playing tricks, then I don't know. That would be the only difference.
yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know have the same recognition of a fawn as I do for
Yeah.
the concept of Pan, and I think that has a lot to do with that class we took where we talked about Pan and talked about
Yeah.
Peter Pan
We
and
did
all
do
that
Peter
shit.
Pan, yeah.
Peter Pang Mang.
Peter Pan.
In an interview, Del Toro hinted that the nameless soldiers who die in the woods, including the one that got shot through the hand, are the surviving children from the orphanage in the Devil's Backbone. So
No
there's
shit.
some sort of shared universe
the
happening.
Stutterer.
Oh, damn.
Oh my god.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
The man's playing 3D
Oh,
chess,
Oh god.
4D chess, 69D chess.
69
Audiences-
That's a lot of dimensions.
That's a lot of
That's a
dimension.
lot of D.
Audiences have interpreted the film's bittersweet ending as everything from a religious metaphor to a psychological allegory. Del Toro said, quote, I always think of that beautiful quote by Soren Kierkegaard that says the tyrant's reign ends with his death, but the martyr's reign starts with his death. I think that is the essence of the movie. It's about living forever by choosing how you die.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
God
That's
damn.
That's a
the
powerful
man.
line.
The man.
Sign me up for the Church of Del Toro. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
gee.
Yeah.
God, what a powerful just image that. Just even that line. I know it's not his line, but like to base a movie around it that embodies that. Whoa.
It really does. Yeah.
Damn.
That's let's end on that one. That's
Yeah, that's
That sounds
really
good.
powerful.
ain't getting better than that. You know.
Damn, this day better be one of the best days of the year because I'm riding on a high at like 9:30
I got one of
a.m.
those hella sweet lives.
Perfect. I mean, is that
And
me
Randy
talking?
with the bums just killing it. Like, oh my god.
Sometimes you bat 1,000.
Yeah, that's it. That's it for trivia. Let's go and jump into our cooter of the week.
Straight chillin'. Gooder of the week.
Juice, what is the cooter and why do we hunt them?
Oh, Cooter's character type and a straight chillin' exclusive. Cooter has to hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered a cooter. We want the cooter with the most points. The 5 points of cooterdom are sexual deviancy, manipulation, smug arrogance, overall looking attire, and overall patheticness. Boys, we've been hunting cooters for a long time.
A decade.
That's
I,
true.
I went back and was listening to some older Halloween episodes as the autumn kind of broke, and I was like, holy shit, this is like, I mean, Halloween Resurrection, we were doing Cooter of the Week. So that's like 5 years ago. Anyways, boys, who's our Cooter this week? I think we got
I don't-
just we'll kind of one.
This is cooter free, right? Totally.
I mean, if you, it's all an outcropping of the one main cooter.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cooter actions, but there's just one king cooter in this thing.
What is his
Vidal.
name? Vidal, yeah.
Yeah.
Vidal, yeah.
Vidal.
Um,
Yeah, that's probably how you say it.
I don't know.
He's up there, man.
Vidal.
My boy Vidal.
He's just so unfucking repentant and like narrow, like pig-headedly narrow focused
damn, he's such a
on
piece of
his
shit.
legacy and progeny and all
Yeah.
that shit. And
Smug
oh, man.
arrogance, yes.
Whew,
Check.
whew.
Uh,
God.
manipulation, yes.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Sexual deviancy though.
So we
I
don't
think Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say we don't get a lot of like intimate moments with him and his wife, but
Two
it
of them.
does certainly seem like she is just a vessel for his child.
Well,
period. Yeah.
Yes, I think he's definitely got this because yes to that, but also he like ransacked her husband's shop, and that's how they met the first time. He clearly, to me, like either coerced her or like the safety, like
Yeah.
he's partially responsible for the removal or probable death of her late husband and Ophelia's
Yeah.
father. So to then go out and like say, oh, but you're pretty and you could father
Yeah.
me some children, so you want to get married and have security, like that's fuck you, fuck you, fuck
Yeah.
you.
She says yes to protect her child and
Right, because
You
she's
know.
sick and she has like she's a woman in a man's society that you
Yeah.
know
Just
needs
doing
to
what
make
you
up
can, yeah.
mincemeat, you know.
Mhm.
So I would say yes. Yeah, I think that
Okay.
that definitely tracks.
It's
I'm
not
not
it's
gonna
not
fight
like
you on
sexual
it.
deviant
Not
in the
gonna do
JD
it.
Vance sense, but it is in so many other ways.
God.
How's that
Randy, I
5-year
want to
plan
listen to this
looking?
in 5 years.
Randy, just go ahead and couch that point. We'll come back
Oh
to it,
my
okay?
lord.
Okay, all right, all right. I got a
Um,
whole load of them.
Patheticness.
yeah, his like plea at the end, and also too his just whole fuckery with the watch and shit. I love that they implied that it's like not really ticking, or I don't know. It's a cool element to it, but yeah, and even just him not even being able to listen to a story about his father because of fear of what people think of him, like was so pathetic.
Well,
Like,
it's so pathetic to not even be able to express any level of admiration or fondness for your father, even as
yeah,
he's being praised to you
yeah.
and after death. Like,
Because he obviously holds the
man.
same when they're battling in the woods. He's like, "This is the only respectable way to die, men. Go out blasting." And like that's the whole story about his father. Is as he lay dying on the battlefield, he smashed his watch to give to his son. Like, why? He's so ashamed, like of
Well,
any
it's the
type
thing, like
of like.
everything
crazy.
clearly goes back to that for him.
Yeah,
It's clear that he's trying to like make his dad proud
live
or
up
whatever in the
to
afterlife or
yeah.
whatever. But like I get the impression that maybe, and I don't know this because we don't really go into it and it doesn't really matter, but like I have a suspicion that like his dad was maybe like more of a normal guy than he is and was just like trying to like make his son proud of him by saying like, well, like he made something for his son to remember. I don't think that this guy would do anything like if he was dying on the battlefield. I don't think the same thing would occur to him. I think it would be all about just like,
Yeah.
make sure that my name
Because
lives
he
on. It's
doesn't.
all
I
about
mean, he
that,
even
my name.
that was a moment where I was because the whole story is the dad smashed the watch on the battlefield so his son would know his time of death. The guy, he has the opportunity to do the same thing. He pulls out the watch and instead he begs, well, beg is loose term here, I guess.
Requests.
But he requests that the people tell the kid instead because he specifically says, "Tell him the time I died." He has the watch.
That's
What's up
smash
with
it.
that? Yeah.
I didn't notice that, but yeah, you're right. He's too like that's the thing is like his father was at least selfless enough to think of a memento for his son. He is too selfish himself to give up that memento, even though he has already
about to
corrupted
die.
it by
Yeah.
making it tick again
Yeah.
and making it keep time.
Yeah. So
well, his whole
that's a
thing,
good point.
like you
Yeah,
mentioned, Randy, is like it's about moving forward, like continuing his lineage, continuing time, like living in the future even after he dies. So like it does sort of represent that he doesn't want to stop time again. He's
About
afraid
him,
to.
it's
That's a
about his
good
name
point.
continuing, not about his son having a memento of him.
Yeah, he totally
Yeah.
erases his dad's memory by
Yeah.
just
Like his dad's
fixing the
dying
clock.
wish.
What the fuck? God damn.
I don't
That
know.
didn't
Like, I
even
get the
quite
impression-
hit me about he just
Yeah.
completely erases his dad's like memory. What the fuck? Oh my god. Okay.
There's another way of looking at that that's much softer, but he's not a soft man, so you
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
look at it that way.
Looking
look- looking at-
attire.
I think he's looking. He's a sharp looking man up
Yeah,
until the
though,
point where he
dude,
gets
all
the
those
Glasgow
clothes are.
smile. But
I love the
I think-
aesthetics of war. These like old war movies, man. They're so.
I think he
awesome.
looks like a bitch when he gets his like half Joker slice, when
Oh,
he's got to
that's
like
his
true.
Glasgow smile,
He
like
does.
that's
stitch
when he
his
turns.
face back up. Yeah,
Yes,
that's
and he's just
Oh,
soaking.
like-
I do like that at one point too. He's like going out. He doesn't even have an opportunity to change, so he's just like sitting in the disgraced clothing of
Yeah,
where his arrogance led
disrobed.
him. Yeah, that's yeah. All
Yeah,
right,
so he gets stripped down from top
Boom.
to bottom by the end, and that's
got
I
it.
could give him that a little bit. That's a low level thing because
It
like,
it is. It's not his
all
It's not a
choice.
choice
It's all
he's
contextual.
making, like-
Yeah,
Yeah. But I want to fucking stick everything to him though. And just fucking
Stick
Yeah,
it
I do
to
too.
him,
I
Bob.
want him.
Stick
Yeah,
him.
Yeah.
This is not an impartial jury this round.
No, yeah. This dude's a real motherfucker. I think we got him.
this
That's
guy.
top tier cooter
got him.
right there.
Got his ass.
Let's go kick the motherfucker's ass all over Dreamland.
Fucking killing the
All
bump game.
over Dreamland.
Just cruising into the fall. Just doing it.
This is
We're
it,
doing
boys.
it, baby. We're doing
It's
it.
all happening. Hey.
Classic
what's
straight
next?
chilling episode,
What comes
boys.
next?
This is we're
Um,
just top tier
Oh,
podcasting right
man.
now.
We are running a little late, so we'll skip what we've been watching. Unfortunately, sorry to everybody. I know that is often enjoyed, but we got 2 voicemails. Let's go ahead and get into our hotline screams.
Hotline scream.
If you guys are listening and would like to call and leave a voicemail to be featured on next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. We got 2 voicemails here. One was a carryover from last week, talking about the Alien franchise. We're going to hear from our boy Nate. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Hey, what's up, guys? I wanted to call and give you my Alien Romulus take and then franchise rankings real quick. First off, I think it looks amazing. Cinematography is great on Romulus. Everything looked awesome. I don't think you can give it a 1 star just for that alone. Sorry, Miles. I think it really brings the horror. I think they had some good scares in there. Stuff looked pretty good. Gore and all that, good kills. I found a new thing to make my skin crawl, which would be face hugger penis. Jeez, that was rough. The final hybrid, I think, would make H.R. Geiger proud, and also anyone that does the Tool music videos. That looked really good. All practical too. I guess that was pretty awesome. I do like the kind of immersive video game experience watching it, like I think Payday was going for. There are some couple bad things. The worst part, obviously, the CGI on Rook was awful. That's probably the worst thing of the movie. Yeah, so I'm going to give it a 4.5, and I'm going to call it with room to fall instead of room to grow. Maybe, further watches it might go down a little bit. Real quick for my ranking, Alien, best in the franchise, classic, annual spooky season watch for me. Sorry, other Nate. Aliens, Bill Paxton, obviously. I'm going to put Romulus in 3rd. I did really like it. Then I'm going to say Prometheus and then Covenant next. And I will go to bat for that. It's a great double feature with Prometheus. The David storyline is so fascinating. It's also got some really bad stuff. The baby alien CGI, the alien vision, the shower scene, all super bad. And then after that, I go AVP, and then I'd say Alien 3, and then Resurrection, and then Requiem. Yep, so that's my Alien talk. See ya.
You know what's fascinating to me is how much Tool music videos come up as a touch point for other things. They really
gotta
come
look.
up all the time.
Yeah, they got to look, and they've got a craft to them too.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. For
yeah.
a while, that was the only thing like it that was like well known that
Yeah.
was coming across people's airwaves, I
Yeah.
guess. That was a pretty good list. I want to say there is one other voicemail that I want to play real quick that Bob's trying to gloss over, and here it is.
Alien Romulus is straight doo-doo from the poop chute.
All right, just wanted to make sure that we were,
all right.
Speaking of
keeping it
the other
equal.
Nate calling in.
Nate on Nate battle there.
He did
Yeah.
say just to not even worry about playing that. That's why I didn't mention it. But
Right.
I'm glad you did, actually.
We gotta keep things fair and balanced, you know?
Yeah.
It is
I haven't,
funny.
you know what? I haven't seen Covenant and since we covered it, to be fair. I don't know. Maybe it's better than I remember. Probably not. But
Hey, why don't you rewatch it?
Last
Watch it again.
year, and
I watch it 2-3 more times. Keep going. Keep watching.
Really don't think it's very good.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I
do, but I do
watching
think Prometheus has some cool stuff. It's interesting, how it seems like the Alien franchise, when people go to rank all those movies, it just varies so wildly. Where like
It
there's
really
more
does, yeah.
consistency in a lot of other franchises, but like Alien seems to be.
I mean, all the different directors, all the different styles. Some are serious, some are a little more goofy, some are a little more actiony, some are a little more horror based. Like
But they all have a very sturdy stem of
yeah,
similarity.
Tell me about that
For the most
stem.
part.
it's a pretty
It's the
interesting
sturdiest
franchise, to be
stem.
honest.
It is, yeah.
People's reactions to it are like, it seems like it's weirdly, for a long time it felt way more like passive the way people would talk about this franchise, except for the people that really really loved it. But like with this movie in
I think
particular
there's
and
always
Covenant,
been an Alien versus Aliens crowd. Like, which one? I don't know. I think that's pretty strong in the franchise.
I don't know. It feels like, I just feel like tensions are a lot higher with this movie than there
Also,
have been in
too,
previous ones. But
Prometheus.
maybe that's just me.
Prometheus was pretty divisive too. You have
It
strong
was,
I
like
wasn't involved with
lovers
that
and
movie
haters.
until
Yeah.
much
So I
later.
don't. I
So
think it's been around since
I don't know.
Aliens
It seems like
dropped.
there's just been like, there's no, the consensus is harder to find with this franchise than other
For sure.
franchises, and
For
that's
sure.
it feels like that's because people are just like constantly like finding different things that they personally prefer, and it's like there's just no, the one thing that there's no one thing that everybody agrees is the thing you gotta include, except I
Yeah.
guess xenomorphs.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, yeah, they are just they're varied enough, I guess, where if you stack rank them, it could just be fucking almost anybody's game at the top. But
Yeah.
yeah, it seems Aliens. It's but it's almost unfair because like one is more horror, one is more action. To say
Yeah.
what's better, it's like they're almost in their own camp in a way. So I don't know, it's interesting to talk about. But
Yeah.
It
yeah.
is.
Thanks for calling in both Nates. We got a
Nates.
surprise Nate there. Yeah. Last but not least, we're gonna hear from our friend Johnny from Ireland once more.
Oh.
Let's hear what he's got to say.
Hi guys, Johnny here, ringing you back with giving my opinions on Alien Romulus. First off, great show. I thought you covered everything pretty well. Wow, what a fucking divisive film that is. I'm so confused after coming out of it. I think I'm coming down on the side of with Randy though. Overall, I enjoyed it. The movie, first third of the movie, absolutely spectacular. As Randy said, the sound, the aesthetics, the use of silence, absolutely amazing. The aesthetics of the mining colony was spectacular, which made me actually think that possibly there was another movie in there that got overridden by Disney executives. I had been hoping that this movie would have been the story of Hadley's Hope when they said the movie was set between 1 and 2 and it was a one-off, the story of the colony that got overrun by the aliens. And I wonder, with the aesthetics of the colony at the beginning looking very like Hadley's Hope, maybe that was something that happened, and maybe other decisions were made. Another podcast that I listened to, an internet show, actually referred to Disney that they basically have a business plan now for their movies, that callbacks have to be included. So it makes me think that way too many callbacks. It could have been a classic. That fucking line. I'm hoping we get a version of this movie with that line edited out, the way you can get Star Wars without Jar Jar Binks now. Overall, though, I did enjoy it. There was parts of it were scary as shit. The fucking fella at the end, the offspring, Jesus fucking Christ, what a fucking wacky dude he was. But overall, I enjoyed it, guys. It was one of the better movies. I think there's now more good alien movies than bad. Anyways, thanks for all the good work with your shows, and keep on chilling, guys. Bye-bye.
All right.
Well,
Got one
all
on my
Randy
team
for
once.
Randy.
Ooh, coming in hot
I'm
for
gonna call that as
Randy.
a win for Soju as well, because me and Randy, I think, ranked it the same. So
I'm sure you're gonna count it that way. I'm sure.
sounds like a soft support for Soju as well. So
Soju
go ahead.
Soju won on this morning as well, and everybody needs to know that.
One of them alley-oop
Yeah.
wins. Yeah.
That does make a lot of sense that Disney would have like callbacks written into contracts
Dude,
and
fuck
because it's just
Disney.
so
Oh my
rampant with
God.
it.
What are they doing?
And
I
they own so
don't
many
know.
goddamn things, and they only want to remake shit.
I do the Hadley's Hope thing that he was mentioning. I'm unfamiliar with that story, but like that, if the movie had been that, I would have been way more interested in it.
Honestly, yeah,
I
me
love
too.
this setup. I do, and then
Yeah.
they
I
leave too
really
quick.
liked it. I really
Yeah.
liked it in like what we got. Like I got what I paid for, but that would have been more than I paid for. That would have been more than I bargained for.
Yeah.
That they showing like this whole like society
I
breakdown.
agree. I agree.
But
That'd be rad,
know,
yeah.
opportunity was squandered to that end. But
Yeah, can't win them all. It does seem like most people are digging on the movie. And actually, I saw another headline earlier today, I believe it was. It passed, it's over 200 million worldwide now.
Woo.
So it's doing
damn.
extreme. They're gonna make
So
a
the next movie's
sequel,
gonna
I'm
be the
sure.
Hadley's Hope
Well, what?
thing.
Yeah, one thing I noticed too that could be like a big difference. Like I know when we're comparing it to other movies and we're talking about the reach of Disney and stuff. This movie came out in Korea the same time that it
Yeah.
came out in America. Like posters are up, it's in the theaters. There's a lot of advertisement for it here and everything like that, which is not something that happened. Late Night with the Devil did eventually come out, which was surprising, but it was like
That is surprising.
3 months later, 4 months later, you know. And sometimes movies, like I don't know if The Strangers came out here, or you know, so sometimes it doesn't. So I'm sure like it seems like they made a huge effort to make it available and promote it worldwide, which makes a big difference, I think.
Yeah. Bigger franchises makes sense that they'd get a bigger rollout in more countries, I guess, you know, because
automatically kind of cross it like internationally appealing in content.
Yeah.
Like you're not, it's not deeply American at its core or anything like that, or any one nationality. It can be transferable in a way that other movies probably can't. Like I remember a friend of mine telling me, who was an exchange student in Germany for a minute, she said that she loves King of the Hill, but they just don't watch King of the Hill there. Not, and like I was in high school at the time, and I was like, why? She's like, just they don't understand Texans. Like they don't understand what they're
why would
fucking
it
talking
Texas?
about.
Yeah.
What is this?
Right. Why would they understand that? And I was like, a dumb kid, I was like, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. But this movie doesn't have that problem. It doesn't have borders. This concept.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for calling in, Johnny, with your thoughts on Romulus, man. Always good to hear from you. Again, if you guys are listening, would like to call and be featured on next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. And because I know you guys are going to ask, we are watching another Patreon pick. This one was chosen by the first Nate we heard from on the voicemail picked this flick, and it is
respectful Nate.
Right. The movie is We Are Still Here from 2015.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know anything about that film, to be honest.
I did not realize that. I thought you'd seen it.
Movies.
Oh.
This is the Gagan movie. I haven't seen
our
this
boy
one.
Ted Gagan. Damn, I thought you guys both saw it. Okay.
No, I haven't seen this yet.
I don't think I've seen it.
I always confuse it with We Still Live in the Castle and A Tale of Two Sisters for some reason. Those three like just kind of boil together in my brain.
Cool.
We know Ted's listening.
Ted.
He is very active on the interwebs. But yeah, We Are Still Here. Do you guys have any prompts to throw out? I guess not in relation to that movie because you haven't seen it, but just prompts in general, I guess.
I would just say happy spooky season. What you getting kicked off with? You know, what's on? Does anybody have any like you're gonna go through a franchise, you gotta hit certain ones for this Halloween season? What's your must watches this year? Anything different? What are you planning?
What are you most jazzed about watching for spooky season? And also I want to add, like, just because Pan's Labyrinth and because I'm thinking about all these different like dark fantasy movies, give us some dark fantasy recommendations. If you like City of Lost Children, hit me with it. If you like fucking Never Ending Story, hit me with it. I want to hear somebody gush about a movie the way we just gushed about Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Gosh, all over me, please.
I'm a gusher, you know.
I love when we get a movie where we just fucking wax
it.
Yeah, it's just like
we had this one.
It's a nice change of pace because we are curmudgeonly fucks.
Well, earlier we had Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which was so much
Yeah.
fun to cover and a
Yeah.
good episode to listen
That's
back on. So yeah, it's nice when we get to praise something when somebody
Yeah.
finally makes a good film.
Finally.
God.
And next
Yeah.
week we're
Artist
covering
fucking
Beetlemang Deuce.
The Beetlemang. I hope that we're pleasantly surprised.
Me
I don't know.
too,
We'll
me too.
we'll see. We'll see.
I have no hope for that.
Me
But
too.
if it happens, I'm open to the
Me too.
experience.
Me too.
When are
Um,
we covering
We're just
that?
normal men.
It's 2 weeks. Yeah, it's
In 2 weeks? Okay.
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, call in with what you're kicking your spooky season off with. Let us know. 904-638-3231. Check out We Are Still Here from 2015. It's on DVD, Blu-ray. You can stream it. It's super easy to find. Check it out. Get ready for next week's show. We're on all the social medias. You can find us at Straight Chilling Podcast. We'll pop right up. Hang out with us this Friday for the Joe Bob Watch Party. And until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.
We ever dared you.